again, listening online and you have a question or comment, you can call in at 646-652-4520 and add your comment or question. I believe we have a question at this time. Let me go to the line real quick and see if this brother wants to add a question or a comment. This is 215. 215.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a question or comment?
Yes, I do. How you doing, brother?
Pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for taking my call. I just kind of tuned in, and I wanted to. I don't know if you have already covered it. I've just been on for about 5 minutes or so. But I'm an atheist. I'm a African American man, black man, atheist. I'm a former Hebrew Christian. Believed in the whole Bible, inerrancy, and everything like that. The verse that is the one that actually is brought up when people are mentioning slavery is the slavery rules, basically in Exodus 21. I don't know if you've gone there yet, but basically
no.
that lays out the whole rules for, and it's not, like you said, it's not necessarily the slavery from from the Hebrew to Hebrew, but from the other nations, it's brutal slavery, and that's the one that they use in the South to justify beating slaves and treating them any kind of way. That's the verse that's used, and that's the one that is basically, in my mind, my comment is that's indefensible, that anybody can try to defend that, and specifically black folks trying to defend that verse, to defend the Bible, because in that instance, because it clearly states the rules, that even goes as far as if you beat your slave and he doesn't die within 3 days, you're not to blame for his death. So that I wanted to make that comment and to add that in, because I've been on both sides. I've been an atheist for 20 plus years. So it's not past. It's past the anger part of trying to attack people. It's just dealing with facts, and it's just that when I was on the other side, it's just something I could not defend, and I just deal with the fact of the matter. It tells you straight out what that verse entails.
Definitely, my brother. And as a matter of fact, after this scripture in Leviticus, we're going straight to Exodus 21, and we're gonna hit all them points you just mentioned. Matter of fact, we might run down the whole chapter. Okay. So.
Okay. Can I ask you a quick question?
Go ahead.
Like I said, I just tuned in. I'm enjoying, and I'm glad that you're open to, that you took my call. But the brothers that defend or actually basically attack that part of the Bible or question that part, I just find it hard that I guess my question is, being a black person, how can you kind of defend that? Your brothers that are speaking, how can you basically be an apologist for that or try to make that right when it's pretty clear that's what they used. That's what these Southerners used when they went to tell the slaves to accept their lot in life. They went to the Bible and told them, look, this is why we can do this, because God said you're supposed to follow us because we're ahead of you. So how can you and the other brothers kind of excuse that out? That's just my question. If that's what you're doing, if that's not what you're doing, I apologize for not making the right assumption.
No, definitely, my brother. Matter of fact, how can we defend it? Did you want to answer that, my brother, or you wanted me to?
Oh, pretty much. We have to take into consideration and get pretty much the whole understanding from what the scriptures saying, understanding the fact that the disadvantage that the slaves were at because they couldn't read. So we all know that they can hold up this book and they can say, pretty much whatever they want to say, but it's not necessarily mean that it's in this book.
Well, hold on. The brother did say that it is in this book that you can beat your slave. Okay. Yes. But one thing we have to understand is Eastern culture compared to Western culture. Okay, in our current culture, we think that beating somebody is okay, but just if you can go to the Eastern culture today, around the Middle East area, around Jerusalem, and you could, for adultery, okay, the Bible specifically says adultery you're to be put to death. Okay, for adultery you're supposed to be put to death, but I seen a man in I believe it was Iran, I want to say, that was getting beat by 5 different men. He was held up by both arms and both legs by 2 or 4 men, and he was getting beat for his adultery. Okay, again. So in Israel, not only, and we're going to read this, but I would just want to address the brother's question. In Israel, not only where slaves can be beat, but also your slave masters. Anyone in Israel can be beat according to Deuteronomy, I believe, 24, which is called corporal punishment. Okay, they would go to the judges, and the judges could, what's the word I want to say? Basically, allot as many lashes to a civilian as they see need be for a certain crime or certain punishment. Now, we have to take into context, like I said, the Eastern culture. The Eastern culture, if you're my servant, okay, and say you're not doing, I just bought you, okay, you, like we just read in Leviticus 25, the man has become waxen in decay. So he can't even support himself. So he has sold himself unto me. Now he is my servant. He wants to serve me, right? And say he's just walking lazily, not doing no work. Now, of course, your slave master can read one verse to you and say, well, you know, if I beat you and you get up within 2 days, I'm free.
That's right.
Okay, but we gonna read in American slavery where they can kill people and still be free. But again, they didn't read the law in in Deuteronomy as well, that said at any time that a slave can walk free if he wants to.
Right.
Okay, they didn't read that law. Go ahead.
They just kind of disannulled the whole Old Testament, what's considered to be the Old Testament anyhow, and they just come up with their own interpolation. How you
interpolation?
Interpolation. Yeah,
exactly. So hold on, let me see. Did that kind of answer your question? Because we're going to run down that exact verse anyway, my brother. But did that somewhat answer your question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'd appreciate that. Just one parting comment. You know, these rules that the slave masters used, these were direct rules that were given by God. These were the rules that were given exactly to the children of Israel. If someone, if a person believes that story, that's the rules that were given, and they basically, and like a lot of people do, they cherry pick what they want, leave out what they want to further their agenda.
Okay.
But I just wanted to get that in there, and I don't want to, I understand you have your program that you want to do, but I really appreciate you give me answering my call and taking my question, and I'm enjoying the program and will continue to listen. Thank you.
Okay, well, definitely. Thank you, my brother, for your comments, and hopefully, like I said, we're about to run the Exodus on the next point we hit. So hopefully, we'll even give you more information about that. Okay. Matter of fact, where do we stop at in Leviticus? I think verse 41. So we see a Hebrew, if a Hebrew waxing poor in his own land, you're not to treat him as a bondservant, which bondservant could be considered a slave, okay? But as a hired servant, someone who lives with you and is paid for his services as well, to where he can buy himself out of the slavery or his debt that he sold himself into, okay? Or just stack up till he gets free, okay? But he is supposed to be as a servant. But another law in the scriptures is you shall not oppress anybody, okay? But we know American slavery was used, and like I said, they nitpick scriptures to oppress the people. And we must understand what